These days, people don't always stay in the country where they were born. Many people choose to live in other countries and in other cities. They sometimes live a long way from home. In an international city, like London, you can meet people from lots of countries. Some people left their home country a long time ago, and some people have just arrived in the city. They all have different reasons for moving to another country.
I left about 5 years ago and came to London just to work, really.
I left my home country about 20 years ago to go abroad to study.
I left in September of this year to study Shakespeare at Shakespeare's Globe.
Living in a different country can be very exciting. You experience a new culture, and it's great for learning a new language. People often love their new home.
The food, culture, music, theatre is really wonderful here, and you get a sense that there's a real great buzz around London.
I love the international feel of London, the fact that walking to and from school I hear 5 or 6 languages easy.
What I like is the weather, the adventure of being in a new country, and the people.
But it can also be a challenge, living far from your own country. And there are some things that everyone misses.
I suppose I miss my friends and my family a lot. I have a lot of friends in London as well, but you always remember your friends from home.
I miss the culture, the language, and my family.
I miss having children in my life, my nephews and my nieces running around.
Living in a different country, whether it's for family, work, or study, can be a great opportunity. And for some people, the longer you stay, the harder it is to go home. Adriana Gonzalez Vera trained as a vet in her home country. She came to the UK with her British husband, Mark, 10 years ago.
I was born in Santiago, capital of Chile in South America.
She didn't only work with animals when she lived in Chile.
I worked as a veterinary surgeon, and I also worked as a consultant in retail and pharmaceuticals. I met my husband through work. He was the managing director of the company where we worked.
Adriana swapped the busy lifestyle of a South American city for the peace and quiet of the English countryside. What did her family think about her moving to another country to live?
They thought that it was very far away for all of us, and that it was going to be a little bit more difficult to meet up.
Adriana doesn't work as a vet in the UK. She's using other skills from her home country, Chile.
I run my own Spanish consultancy company where I train company directors and help them with their presentation. I also do some translations and some Spanish teaching. ¿Qué has hecho hoy, Johnny?
He estado trabajando.
Most of my family are still in Chile. I have my mother, my father, my youngest sister, her husband and her daughter, and my 2 grandmothers living in Chile. I miss the weather. I miss the hot summers. And I miss the warm people, the friendly people in Chile. I miss my mommy's cooking, really, and I missed the long talks with my father.
Adriana's 2 daughters are now 9 and 7 years old.
They are very adorable girls. Camila loves reading and she loves the outdoors. Isabel, she likes fashion, she likes makeup and everything in pink.
For now, Adriana enjoys the quiet country life in England, but she would like to go back to Chile one day.
I would really like to work as a vet again. Unfortunately, I would have to qualify again in the UK. Perhaps we will stay here for a long time, or maybe we will go back to Chile if my husband can find work there.
Anita Patwarden moved from her home city of San Francisco to live in the Spanish city of Barcelona. Her parents are Indian, but she was born in the United States.
Well, I first came to Barcelona in 2003 because I wanted to study Spanish. And then I fell in love with the city at that time, so I decided that I wanted to come back.
Luckily, in 2005, Anita found a job in Barcelona.
So I decided to come back, and I'm really happy here. I really enjoy it.
Today, Anita's home is in an area called San Gervasi, about 15 minutes walk from the city centre.
It's very convenient for me because I have my job within walking distance. I can take the bus directly to the beach and I'm there in 15 minutes.
Anita spoke fluent Spanish when she came back to Barcelona and found a job with an American online marketing company.
I work for a company that provides different online marketing services for hotels, and specifically my team builds websites for hotels. So I work with designers and programmers.
As well as a great job, Anita has many friends in Barcelona.
We're all very close, we're friends, so it's almost like a second family away from home. We have dinners together, we celebrate birthdays together, so it's a nice feeling.
Although she has got a good job and close friends, she still misses home.
I miss my family most of all. It's very difficult to not be able to give my mom a hug or to enjoy my dad's barbecue. So I feel happy if I can see them. Hi.
But staying in touch with family overseas is much easier today.
Yeah. How are you guys? So my family and I, we speak generally every weekend, either through Skype or through email, and every now and then on the telephone too. They have come to visit me a few times, and I try to go back and see them at least once a year. Yeah. Take care. Bye.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Bye.
Anita really loves her new life in Barcelona.
Barcelona is an amazing place. You have a combination of so many wonderful things with weather, cultural activities, beautiful architecture, and most importantly, the beach. You know, how can anyone not like the beach?
But still, she's not sure where her life will take her in the future.
I don't know if I will stay in Spain forever. Forever seems like a really long time. So for now, it's nice. I'm really happy here. I enjoy it a lot. But I don't know if I will be here forever.
It's always a challenge bringing up children. Teaching them how to be independent and look after themselves is not easy. But how does that work when you are bringing up twins who have someone to depend on right next to them? The Department of Twin Research at King's College London has a database of over 12,000 twins who are taking part in a fascinating research programme. Throughout their lifetimes, the twins regularly visit St Thomas's Hospital in London to have a range of medical tests.
Two sides of your face, and they will capture. Okay, so this one's your 3D photos. It's quite interesting, huh?
Today, hundreds of pairs of twins taking part in the programme have come to a summer party at the hospital. It's a chance to meet other twins and share their experiences. So why are all these twins so important to scientists? All identical twins like Xand and Chris share 100% of their genes. They are genetically identical.
This is quite peculiar, isn't it? Amazing.
Twins usually look exactly the same, and they often have very similar abilities, interests, and personalities.
Chris and I are similar in that we enjoy the same things. We both have a lot of the same friends.
We both did medical degrees. We did exactly the same A-levels. We got more or less the same grades.
But identical twins can also be good at different things.
I think I am different to you. I think I do have some free choice. There are differences in our personalities. I remember when we were 10 and I failed, I came bottom of the class in every single exam. And everyone said, why don't you just work a bit harder like your brother and you do a bit better?
So if two people are genetically identical, why is one loud and independent and the other quiet and shy? Or why does one get an illness and the other doesn't? It is these differences between identical twins that are so important to researchers. They give us a clearer picture of the influence of nature, our genes, and nurture, how we live, on the development of our personality and health. And scientists hope that this can help them to identify and prevent health problems in the future. Runyararo and Hw5e-Preintermediate-U are twins. They live together in East London.
My name is Hw5e-Preintermediate-U. I'm 20 years old. I'm 23 minutes older than my twin sister, and I study biomedical science at Middlesex University. I'm Runyararo-Preintermediate-U, also 20 years old, and I'm studying film and visual effects at Sheffield University.
For Hw5e and Runyararo, there are many more advantages to being twins than disadvantages.
Having a double wardrobe is great as a twin. One of the advantages about being a twin is getting to play tricks on people. When we were younger, we swapped classes a few times, which was interesting. I went to her maths class and she went to my English class, and we swapped because we thought it would be really funny. We never got caught though. We used to look even more similar.
Hey, and you, what would you do?
When they were teenagers, the Hw5e-Preintermediate twins did some acting. They learnt new skills, but, as at school, they were still able to take each other's place when necessary.
What time is the next screening of Indiana Jones, please? It's at 3:30.
Because they were twins, they once had the chance to work on a Harry Potter film.
They would give us one role and divide that between us. So I would go on set for 3 hours while Rhaenyra was in school. And then once I'd finished and I'd had my time on set, they used to swap us over. So I suppose that's good because even though we got to do what we loved, we still had enough time to go to school and get a really good education as well.
Rafara is a bit more of a joker. She likes to make everybody laugh, whereas I could possibly be seen as more serious.
Rhaenyra has a lot of patience, and I think when you do film you need to have a lot of patience and kind of speak to the people you're working with and artists and be able to guide them patiently, whereas I kind of want things done then and there. I have a little bit less patience. It's always nice having somebody that you have a close connection to, and having a twin, I don't think there's a stronger bond. It's like living with your best friend, really.
I love that. That's nice seeing that.
Yeah, us dressed the same, with our jackets. I think that's probably when we looked most similar, actually.
Yes, yeah, we do.
Rachel Hw5e is the mother of the Hw5e twins.
For our audition, our first
Very much.
audition as twins.
Yes, I remember buying those t-shirts in Marks and Spencer's.
Yeah.
So what's it like raising identical twins?
I had to rely a lot on my parents because having two babies, they had different times of feeding. That was one of the difficulties. Different types of sleeping. And so you find if you didn't have any help, then you'll be up 24/7. Another difficulty is the cost. Everything you pay for is double. Not so much when they're young, but when they're older, it becomes very costly.
Our spotlight picture.
The girls bonded right from the first day. I used to keep them more or less together. They had different cribs, they had, separate chairs. But for some reason, they always used to reach out for each other or look out for each other.
Yes. And
Oh, yes. Oh, very nice. I remember that. We were in Wimbledon. The problem I found was that the teachers could not differentiate between the two girls, who was Rufaro and who was Rhaenyra.
Yeah, very nice.
Smiling at the back garden.
Your teddy
Yeah.
making its
Yeah.
way into every picture.
Is that you or Rhaenyra?
Oh, wait.
That's not you. That's your
Wait,
sister.
okay, so she's...
Sometimes it seems the girls can communicate without talking.
We didn't go circling for a long time. I can't even tell you sometimes as a mother what they do, but I know they have a silent way of communicating. If Rhaenyra is, say, at Sheffield and Rufaro is in London, and if something is happening to Rhaenyra that she's not happy, Rufaro can pick it up. She was in the library and she left to go to the toilet, and when she got back, her laptop had been stolen and she was quite upset. She hadn't rang me or she hadn't rang her sister, but at the moment when she was so desperate, her sister rang her from London to say if she was all right, because she just felt something was going on. So it's things like that as well, even when they're apart, that they can still communicate. They know if one is in trouble or if one is not happy, or if one is happy for that matter. They've got a very close bond. I don't worry so much about them because I know they've got each other. They talk to one another. And the most interesting is at the moment to see them grow up to be very confident and individual young ladies.
In April 1912, newspapers around the world were full of the tragic story of one of the most famous ships in history, the Titanic. At the time, the Titanic was the largest passenger ship in the world. She was nearly 270 meters long and over 53 meters high, with 9 decks. She was owned by the White Star Line. The Titanic left the port of Southampton on the south coast of England on the 10th of April 1912. She stopped briefly at Cherbourg in France and Queenstown, now called Cove, in Ireland, and then started her journey across the Atlantic towards her final destination, New York. She was carrying 1,343 passengers and 885 crew members. The trip to New York was her maiden voyage. Some passengers in first class were rich and famous, but most second and third class passengers weren't rich. They were people from across Europe travelling to America to start new lives. The story of the Titanic is so famous that everyone knows how the voyage ended. Just before midnight, on Sunday the 14th of April, as she was sailing towards the coast of North America, the ship hit an iceberg and was badly damaged. 2 hours, 40 minutes later, the ship sank. Tragically, there weren't enough lifeboats, and only 710 people survived. In 1985, the wreck of the Titanic was finally found at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, 2.5 miles down. 100 years after the Titanic sank, people are still fascinated by its story. But while there are hundreds of books, television programs, and famous films about the ship's short voyage, many people still know very little about where the ship came from and the people who built it. The birthplace of the Titanic is Belfast. Belfast is the capital city of Northern Ireland in the United Kingdom, and the city was famous for shipbuilding in the 20th century. The Harland and Wolff shipyard, where they built Titanic, still exists today. You can see the dock where they finished the ship. They don't make ships here anymore, but you can still see the yard's 2 massive cranes, Samson and Goliath, from all across the city. Today, the old shipbuilding area of Belfast is called the Titanic Quarter. There's a lot of new development in this area. And there's a huge new Titanic signature building at the old shipyard where you can learn more about the ship. From the outside, this amazing new building looks like the bow of the Titanic. And behind the new building, you can still see the old offices of Harland and Wolff, where they designed the ships for the White Star Line. This building is empty today, but in 1900 there were hundreds of people working here, and around 15,000 people working in the shipyards. The Titanic was the second of 3 ships that Harland and Wolff were building for the White Star Line in the early 20th century. The plans for the Titanic and its sister ship the Olympic, were almost identical, both inside and out. But the Titanic was slightly bigger. The designers marked the Titanic's differences in red on the ship's plans. You can see these original plans at the Ulster Museum of Folk and Transport's Titanica exhibition in Belfast. You can also see a lot of the objects from the Olympic. The Titanic had identical items on board when she sank. At the exhibition, you can also learn much more about the people who built the ship and the people who were travelling on her when she sank. And this is just one of many Titanic exhibitions around the world. The tragedy of the Titanic was very difficult for the people of Belfast. And for many years, no one in Belfast talked about how they built the Titanic. But this changed over time, and today, people in the city are proud of their family histories. There's a memorial to the men of Belfast who died on the ship outside the City Hall. And tour guide Susie Miller has her own very special family story.
I can remember, as a small child, my grandmother taking me to see the Titanic Memorial, which stands in the grounds of Belfast City Hall. And she pointed up at the name Thomas Miller on the plinth and told me that that was my great-grandfather. My great-grandfather worked here in Harland and Wolff in the shipyard which built Titanic, and he had helped to construct the engines for Titanic and its sister Olympic.
And Tommy Miller has a special place in the history of the Titanic.
He's unique. He's the only one of the crew who worked on the construction of Titanic for Harland and Wolff and then worked for White Star as one of the crew.
Like many people on the ship, Tommy was leaving Ireland to start a new life in America.
Before my great-grandfather left Belfast, he said his goodbyes to his two sons, and he gave each of them 2 new pennies dated 1912, and he told them not to spend those coins until the family was all together again.
Sadly, Tommy was one of the crew members who died, but his family never forgot him.
My grandfather kept those 2 pennies all of his life, and he passed them down through the family, and we still have them in the family today.
But why is the story of the Titanic still so famous after 100 years? Susie Miller thinks that there are 2 reasons that people will always be interested in the Titanic.
You've got the biggest ship in the world, with the richest people in the world and the poorest people in the world, sailing across the Atlantic, and on the maiden voyage, it hits this iceberg and it's a disaster. And within that bigger story, there are all these little threads of stories, individual stories about families and people who were heroes and people who were cowards and people who were villains. So you've got all those elements within it. So I think those 2 things combined give you a really good story.
Today, it's harder than ever to eat a healthy diet. Our lives are very busy, so we don't have a lot of time to prepare healthy meals. Nowadays, a lot of people prefer to buy fast food because it's quick and cheap. So how healthy is your diet?
I do not have a healthy diet at all. I like cheeseburgers, I like bad food.
Not so healthy. I eat a lot of sugar, so sugar is not very good for you.
I think I have a healthy diet. 80% of the time I eat whole foods, home-cooked food, meat, vegetables. I don't like much junk food or much processed food.
Experts are always telling us what to eat. They all agree that it's important to eat a lot of fresh vegetables, that fish is better for us than red meat, and we need to drink water, not fizzy drinks. But they also change their minds about which foods are healthy and unhealthy. For a long time, scientists told us that foods high in fat, like butter and cheese, were unhealthy. Now they're not quite so sure. Studies around the world have shown that cheese can help people lose weight, have healthy teeth, and even become smarter. There are lots of people following modern diets, like the keto diet or the paleo diet, because they believe eating fat is actually good for you, while eating carbohydrates like rice or bread isn't very healthy. While researchers tell us it's not a good idea to eat a lot of sugar, some experts say that eating small amounts of chocolate might actually have some health benefits. Dark chocolate, with a high cocoa content, contains healthy fats and a lot of minerals, and can help lower blood pressure and the risk of heart disease. It can also make you smarter and happier. No wonder most people love chocolate. When you think about somewhere that's famous for its chocolate, you might think of Switzerland. In Switzerland, people eat more chocolate per person than anywhere else in the world. Just over 9 kilograms a year. The story of chocolate probably started over 2,500 years ago in Central America. The ancient Mayans and Aztecs used cocoa beans mixed with some water and spices to make a special drink. They didn't have any sugar, so the drink wasn't sweet. Spanish explorers first brought cocoa beans to Europe about 500 years ago. But it wasn't until around 170 years ago that a British company started making solid chocolate bars. Now, our shops are full of thousands of different chocolate products. Some of the most famous chocolate makers, like Lindt, are Swiss. The Lindt company is over 170 years old. At their factory in Zurich, the master chocolatiers can still make chocolate by hand. The process of making chocolate is very similar whether you make it by hand or in a factory. The chocolatiers choose the best cocoa beans. Most cocoa beans grow in Western Africa. First, they roast the beans. This gives the beans their flavor. Then they remove the shells. This leaves the inner bean, called the nib. They grind the nib into a paste, called chocolate liquor. Then they add other ingredients, like cocoa butter, a bit of milk powder, some sugar, and a little vanilla. Then they use a machine called a conch to mix the paste so it is very smooth. Once they've mixed the chocolate, they pour it into molds. Sometimes they add other ingredients, such as nuts, orange, or even special rose petals. Finally, the bars are ready for the millions of chocolate lovers around the world. Cheese is older than recorded history. No one knows who invented it. It probably happened by accident. Today, there are thousands of different types of cheese. Many countries have their own special cheeses. When you think of the Netherlands, you think of Gouda. Italy's most famous cheese is probably Parmesan. And the French are famous for their soft cheeses, like Brie and Camembert. While the Danes eat more cheese than any other country, about 28 kilograms per person per year, it's the British who make more different types of cheese per person. There are more than 700 types of British cheese. This is amazing because just 60 years ago, the British only produced one type of cheese: cheddar. Cheddar is still the most popular cheese in the country. Today, most cheese is made in factories. But the best cheese is made by hand at farms where the milk comes from happy cows. This is Lyburn Farm in the south of England. The farm is a family-run business and it makes award-winning cheese. At 6 a.m, they milk their own cows. They heat and then cool the milk to 28 degrees. Then the cheesemaker adds something called rennet. The rennet makes the milk solid. Then they cut it. This separates into curds, which are solid, and whey, which is watery. When the curds are ready, they drain the whey. Next, they put the curds into special molds. There are 54 molds with about 6 kilograms of curd in each one. They leave these overnight. This machine squeezes all the liquid out of the mold. The next morning, there isn't any whey in the cheese. They store the cheese on the farm until it is ready. There are around 10,000 cheeses on the farm. This cheese gets better as it gets older. Some of the cheeses here are nearly 2 years old. When the cheese is finally ready, there are a lot of customers waiting to try a little bit. And it's well worth the wait. It's delicious. For many young people, the future looks scary. Making the decision about whether to stay in education or to get a job isn't an easy one. These days, going to university can be very expensive. Students starting university in England today are going to graduate with average debts of £50,000. They will pay for their education for decades. But without a degree, it can be hard to find a good job. For many, the world of work doesn't offer many opportunities either. There's a global crisis of youth unemployment. The world of work is changing. Older people are staying in work longer. There's increasing automation. And many of the jobs that are available to young people aren't well paid or secure. In this environment, it's easy to see why many teenagers are worried about the future. It doesn't help when stories about them in the media are so often negative. There are lots of articles about how young people are only interested in their phones, are obsessed with social media, and don't have an interest outside of their online communities.
Yeah, exactly.
The reality is that many young people are very involved in their local communities. Every year, thousands of them give their time for free to work as volunteers. And in the UK, there's a charity called Hw5e-Inspired that is there to help these young volunteers prepare for the future. Since it started in 2006, UK charity Hw5e-Inspired has created over 1 million volunteering opportunities for young people from 15 to 24 years of age. They match people and organisations who need help with young volunteers who want to help. The charity believes that doing voluntary work can help young people in many ways.
Volunteering can give young people a sense of something good to offer their society, something positive that they can do, and just give them that boost that they need to kind of go forward with their careers and their lives.
Becoming a volunteer can give a young person valuable experience in an area that they would like to study or work in the future. Spending time helping at an animal rescue centre is great experience for someone who wants to study zoology or would like to work as a vet. Part of Hw5e-Inspired's work is to make sure that young people know about the positive benefits of becoming a volunteer.
We work really hard to reach out to young people in lots of different ways, and that includes using the press and media, but one of the biggest ways that we reach young people is through social media.
But most importantly, Hw5e-Inspired want to make sure that everyone knows about the great work that young volunteers do.
Every year we run the Hw5e-Inspired National Awards, which is the country's biggest celebration of young volunteers. So the Hw5e-Inspired National Awards are about celebrating those young people and making sure that their efforts get recognised.
A past winner of a Hw5e-Inspired award is Eliza Ribeiro from Croydon, South London. Eliza may be young, but she is already an experienced volunteer who set up and runs a youth anti-violence charity. Eliza hasn't always been an award winner and positive role model. It was her personal experience of youth crime in her local area that led her to change her life and to help others do the same. For Eliza, it started with something very simple: selling a t-shirt with a positive message on it.
So the t-shirts came about and they said "Lives Not Knives" on them, and they were just plain, and loads of young people in Croydon wanted them. So my mum invested in some t-shirts, and with the money we raised, we held a party and got everyone to sign a petition saying youth can have fun without violence, just to send to the local press to prove that not all young people were negative.
And so Eliza's charity, Lives Not Knives, was born. Of course, Eliza didn't do it all on her own. Many people have helped her.
My mum helped set up Lives Not Knives with me, but the main support has been the local community that have volunteered their time in helping us. And then again, my mum and my grandma, who give a lot of their time to do work with Lives Not Knives.
Today, Eliza has her own office and runs a programme that is helping young people stay away from crime and violence. And she's already thinking about what she wants to do next.
For me personally, I kind of want to do a bit of travelling and a bit of research on youth crimes committed across the world and other youth organisations that are reducing crime, but also to understand a bit more for myself and kind of build a project that might be able to work across the board that reduces youth crime and understands the mindset of kind of young criminals.
And with the support of her family, community, and organisations like Hw5e-Inspired, it's easy to believe that anything is possible for Eliza in the future. Even if you've never been to Italy, you've never visited Pompeii, or seen the Colosseum in Rome, you probably know a few things about the Romans. At its most powerful, the Roman Empire covered an area of over 5 million square kilometres. Under the rule of Emperor Trajan in AD 117, over 20% of the world's population lived under Roman control. Today, you can still see Roman architecture across Europe. From the imperial baths of Trier in Germany to the amazing aqueduct of Segovia in Spain. This aqueduct once carried water over 15 kilometres and is nearly 29 metres high. In Turkey, you can visit the huge Roman stadium of Aphrodisias, which could hold 30,000 people. And in Libya, at the southern edge of the Roman Empire, you can see the incredible ruins of the city of Leptis Magna. Before the Romans invaded Britain in the year AD 43, most ancient Britons were farmers living in small villages. The invading armies brought the Roman culture, roads, stone architecture, taxes, and the Latin language to Britain. They developed large, important cities like Londinium, now the City of London. The Romans stayed in the land they called Britannia for nearly 400 years and left ruins across the country that are still amazing sights for visitors today. One of the most impressive reminders of Britain's Roman past is located in the north of England. This is Hadrian's Wall. Hadrian's Wall marked the northwest edge of the Roman Empire. It was 80 miles long, around 117 kilometres, and ran from Newcastle in the east to Carlisle in the west. It took around 6 years to build. Today, many parts of the wall are still standing. The remaining parts of Hadrian's Wall attract thousands of visitors every year, with many people keen to learn more about the lives of their Roman ancestors. But archaeologists have learned more about Roman Britain from the forts that the soldiers built near the wall than from the wall itself. And one of the greatest sources of information is Vindolanda, a fort located a few miles south of the wall. There was a Roman fort here at Vindolanda for decades before Hadrian's Wall was built. Historians believe that over a period of about 300 years, the Romans built 9 different forts here. Today, you can clearly see the different areas of the fort, including the areas with underfloor heating. Vindolanda is a live archaeological site. Every summer, archaeologists return to this area and discover more and more Roman items under the earth. They've already found hundreds of items, from shoes to jewellery, coins and combs. The items are displayed in the museum. It's incredible that some of these items have been under the ground for nearly 2,000 years. Since 1973, archaeologists have found more than 700 Roman letters at Vindolanda. These letters, known as the Vindolanda tablets, give us a picture of what life was like in Roman Britain. Experts have translated the letters, and today you can read them online. Archaeologists believe that it will take them more than 100 years to discover all the Roman items hidden under the ground at Vindolanda. Who knows what else we will learn from this amazing site? The city of Bath is in the southwest of England. Today, Bath is most famous for its 18th century architecture, with beautiful buildings like the Royal Crescent. The city is a World Heritage Site and is very popular with tourists. Bath is also home to the hottest natural spring in Britain. Water comes out of the ground here at around 45 degrees Celsius. Through the 17th and 18th century, people came to Bath for the spring water. The pump room, where visitors came to drink the water, opened in 1706. Then, in 1878, they discovered a Roman bath under another building. When the Romans invaded Britain, there was already an Iron Age village here. The Romans built a town called Aquae with many temples and public baths. In the Roman baths, the natural hot water travelled through lead pipes into many different pools and heated rooms. People travelled from around the country to bathe here. But after the Romans left, people didn't use the baths. They flooded, and eventually people forgot about them. Today, historians have restored the Roman baths, and they are one of the most popular tourist attractions in the city. However, you can't wash in this water or drink it. It's not safe anymore. But today, you can relax in the natural hot spring water again, just like the Romans did. In this beautiful new building, there are 2 natural thermal baths, an open-air rooftop pool and an indoor pool. There are amazing views of the city from the rooftop pool. Obviously, the city looks very different today than in Roman times. But these pools are using the same hot spring water the Romans used. And in the city of Bath, Britain's Roman past feels very present.
The United Kingdom is made up of 4 countries: England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. England is the biggest country and has a population of over 50 million. Northern Ireland is the smallest and has a population of fewer than 2 million. Scotland's population is a lot smaller than England's, at just over 5 million. But the country has got some of the most beautiful scenery in the UK. Scotland has got the tallest mountain in the UK, Ben Nevis, and the deepest lake, Loch Moura, as well as historic castles, amazing beaches, and a dramatic coastline. But there's much more to Scotland than beautiful countryside. It's also got some of the most exciting and important cities in the UK. Glasgow is the largest city in Scotland. It's an important city for business and culture, with some great modern architecture. Edinburgh isn't as big or as modern as Glasgow, but it's the capital city of Scotland, and it's the top destination for international visitors to the country. Around 1.5 million international visitors come to Edinburgh every year. So what do international visitors think about the country? What's Scotland like?
I came to Scotland last week. I've been here about a week so far. It's gorgeous. The countryside's beautiful, Edinburgh is stunning, and the people are really friendly, and the food's great.
It's miserable. Well, firstly, I really like sunny weather, and it's grey here all the time.
I think it's a very nice place, a lot of young people, many party, the university is great. I really like it.
How different is Scotland from your home country?
It's a lot colder than where I'm from.
I don't know, just the people are a lot nicer here than in Germany.
The people are very polite here, whereas back home it's not as nice. Yeah, very friendly.
What's the best thing about Scotland?
Best thing about Scotland, I think maybe the landscape, the mountains, the highlands.
In summer, it's like there's some really gorgeous light, you know. In the summer it stays light a really long time, and that's nice.
I think that people are willing to share cultural differences, which for me is interesting. So the atmosphere is something I love.
And the worst thing about Scotland?
The weather. It's really cold compared to Spain.
Cold.
I hate the rain, it's windy, and I don't like food apart from fish and chips.
Although it is part of the United Kingdom, Scotland has its own government, which meets at the modern Parliament buildings in Edinburgh. People from Scotland are called Scots. Over the past 400 years, hundreds of thousands of Scots have left to live in countries around the world. Generations on, many of the families of these emigrants still feel a strong connection to Scotland, and they often return to the country to visit. Scots have got their own vocabulary. For example, small is wee, a lake is a loch, and a child is a bairn. Sometimes, even English people find it hard to understand Scots when they're speaking English, as they can have strong accents. So, what are the Scots like?
Very friendly. They're funny to understand, some speak funny.
Pretty bubbly, friendly.
Often very loud. They're very friendly, very welcoming.
I'd say Scotland feels more like a wee community compared to England.
The most popular tourist attraction in Edinburgh is the castle, and it's one of the oldest buildings in the city. There's been a castle here for nearly 1,000 years. Edinburgh Castle stands on Castle Rock and has got amazing views over the city and across to the River Forth. But once a year, the castle isn't the centre of attraction. And many people agree on the best time to visit the city.
Summer during the Fringe Festival, absolutely amazing.
Oh, Edinburgh Festival.
Come for the festival. There's lots of things happening, street artists and different kind of shows on and stuff in the theatres. It's good.
Every year, in August, the city holds the biggest arts festival in the world, the Edinburgh Festival. It's the most exciting time to visit Edinburgh. And the city is busier in August than at any other time of the year. Edinburgh's population of 450,000 people doubles, and the city becomes the cultural capital of the world. The festival began in 1947 and is a 3-week celebration of art, music, theatre, film, dance, and comedy. During the festival, there are performances all over the city. Over 30,000 performers come to the city to work in over 2,000 shows. The most popular shows are comedy, but there's something for everyone. Edinburgh isn't a cheap city, and everything gets even more expensive in August. Luckily, there are a lot of free shows during the festival, from music and magic to street theatre. And there's so much to do that people come back year after year.
Rivers, lakes, and oceans are great places to enjoy outdoor activities. Water sports like paddleboarding, surfing, and sailing are an excellent way of keeping fit. And they also give us a chance to get closer to some of the amazing wildlife that lives under the waves. While you probably don't want to spot a shark while you are surfing, seeing dolphins swimming next to your boat while you are sailing can be a magical experience. Our oceans are home to an enormous variety of marine life, plants and animals that live in the sea. Under the surface of the water is a hidden world that very few people ever see. Experts have identified around 250,000 different marine species so far. But they don't know exactly how many more plants and animals live in the oceans. For most of us, the closest we can get to this world is a trip to an aquarium. We can see a few of the amazing species of marine life behind thick glass. We are safe from the dangerous sharks, and we can enjoy watching the colourful fish. But we don't really get to experience these creatures in their natural habitat. You can try snorkeling to get a bit closer to marine life, but to really experience this hidden world, you have to go scuba diving. Scuba diving is a popular holiday activity among adventure lovers. It's an excellent way to explore the colourful sea life, underwater caves, and even shipwrecks. Often, when you dive in places like Mexico, the Bahamas, or the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, you don't have to wear a wetsuit. The water is warm and clear. You can see hundreds of different kinds of tropical fish and beautiful coral. It's an amazing experience. But for some people, scuba diving is much more than a holiday activity. It's a full-time job. And the reality of this job can be very different from the experience of a holiday diver. Tom Daguerre is a professional diver and underwater photographer based in the southwest of England. Tom works with conservation charities, filming and photographing wildlife around the coast of Britain. Tom grew up with a love of the ocean.
I started surfing when I was about 10 years old. The first time I ever dived was on the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. It was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I've dived all over the world, from the Caribbean to South Africa to Australia to all over Europe. And in all these different places I've seen many different forms of marine life.
Being an underwater photographer is a challenging job. Scuba diving can be a dangerous activity if you're not careful. High waves, dangerous sea life, water pressure changes, and faulty equipment are some of the dangers scuba divers might face underwater. Tom has trained for his job for many years, but he still has to do a lot of preparation before he gets into the water.
Fitness is really important as a diver. It's important to be in good shape. Diving in itself, scuba diving in itself, is quite a dangerous occupation. However, if you're trained properly, then you can usually avoid most of the problems that you encounter. Every time we dive we have to make sure we're safe. We have to make sure we're properly prepared.
Today, Tom is filming a dive with a conservation charity in an area known as the Manacles. Tom started preparing for this dive yesterday. He has a lot of special filming equipment, and he doesn't want any water to get into the cameras. Assembling the cameras so they are waterproof is a very special skill. Tom must check all of his diving equipment very carefully before every dive. If his equipment stops working, he could die. The group travelled to the Manacles on a small boat. Unfortunately, the weather isn't very good today. All the divers have to wear thick dry suits to protect them from the cold sea temperatures. The suits cover their heads, and they wear special shoes and gloves too. Before they get into the water, the divers must check their equipment one last time. When they are ready to go, the divers have to fall backwards into the water from the boat. If they jumped into the water, their masks could come off. In the water, Tom descends slowly. He can't see very far under the water today. He has to use lights to see the wildlife in the darkness. Once he's at the bottom, Tom doesn't swim around much. He stays in one place and starts filming. Divers can't stay under the water for very long. They mustn't run out of air. When the divers are under the water, the people on the surface can't see them. So when the diver is ready to come back to the boat, they have to send up a special marker. This is also known as a safety sausage. The marker is bright orange. It floats to the surface so that the boat can find the diver. Divers must come to the surface slowly. Coming up to the surface too quickly can make a diver very sick. Tom photographed some interesting marine wildlife on the dive today. The conservation charity will use these images in their work to protect this special area.
It's really important to be able to film and document marine life in the UK and across the world to raise awareness. This we do by showing images of creatures that people may not have seen before.
Tom is doing a job that he enjoys, and he is helping to protect the hidden underwater world. And even though his job can be dangerous, he wouldn't want to do anything else.
Roald Dahl is known to generations of children as the man that brought them magical stories like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Danny the Champion of the World, and James and the Giant Peach. Many people remember his stories from their childhood.
I've got a few favourites. There's Matilda, the Witches, James and the Giant Peach. They're so fantastic and different. It's like going into another world.
I used to read a lot of Roald Dahl when I was little, and I had a lot of Roald Dahl read to me by my parents. He's very funny, he's a very witty author. He makes good stories for children and for adults.
The BFG, the Big Friendly Giant, It was about the big monster, and he goes around catching dreams. I can't even remember.
I think my dog ate that book.
I've taught Roald Dahl 2 children. I read 4 or 5 of his books, and the ones that I taught were Danny, Champion of the World, which I think is probably my favourite of all his books. But they're great children's books. Children love them, and it's great to be able to teach them to children who want to learn, who want to know. And he's a great man. I love his books. I think they're great.
He invented his own words, and he wrote about fantastic places and people. By the end of the 20th century, people had bought over 35 million copies of his books. At the Roald Dahl Museum and Story Centre, you can learn more about him and his world. Gemma Holland works at the centre. She explains why Dahl's stories are still popular today.
I think that the children still find the same things funny as they found funny 50 years ago. And I think that Roald Dahl had a really amazing way of being able to reach the children, but also be able to reach the adults that were reading with the children. So the humour isn't just for the child, but it's also for the parents or the adult reading with that child. And I think that is a massive appeal as well for everybody.
Roald Dahl's parents were Norwegian, but they had left Norway to live in Wales before Roald was born on the 13th of September 1916. Dahl wrote about his childhood in his autobiography, Boy. He told many stories about being naughty at school. When he was only 9 years old, Roald's mother sent him to boarding school a long way from home. He was terribly homesick, and he wrote her letters nearly every day. Although he was lonely and unhappy, his letters were always cheerful and full of stories. And school wasn't all bad. A chocolate company sometimes sent new sweets for students to test. This gave Roald a lifelong love of chocolate and became the inspiration for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Roald Dahl absolutely loved chocolate, and whenever he ate them, instead of just throwing the wrappers away, he actually kept them, and he would scrunch them all together to make a silver ball, and he actually kept that ball as a little souvenir on his desk next to him when he wrote.
Roald wasn't the best student at school, but he was always good at sport and he enjoyed adventure. He didn't go to university after he finished school. Instead, he started working for an oil company. They sent him to Africa.
Then World War II broke out, and Roald Dahl saw this as another part of an adventure. So he actually joined the Royal Air Force, and he became and learnt to fly a plane. And he actually flew a variety of different planes, Tiger Moths, Hurricanes, Gladiators. And unfortunately, Roald Dahl was actually involved in quite a serious accident when he crashed his plane in the desert. And he was very badly injured. And all of that adventure actually led to his first ever published piece of writing, and it was called Shot Down Over Libya.
By this time, Dahl already knew how to tell a great story. He wrote a dramatic report about his accident while he was recovering in the United States. He described how the Germans had shot him down, but really, he had crashed because he had run out of fuel. Dahl had moved to the United States in 1942. He was working as a TV presenter when he met his wife, Patricia Neal. She was a film star. They married in 1953 and moved back to England. The couple lived in the small town of Great Missenden, and they had 5 children. By the 1960s, he had become a very successful short story writer. At this time, most of his stories were for adults.
Then the first story that he wrote for children was called The Gremlins, and it was all about little creatures that got inside the engines of planes and caused them to crash and break down. And it was after that story and after the success of that story that he started writing stories for children, including those famous ones such as James and the Giant Peach, and then obviously Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Millions of children have heard or read the stories of Roald Dahl. But at the Roald Dahl Story Centre, they encourage young people to write their own stories. Gemma explains.
I think storytelling is important because it helps to make life more interesting.
Around the museum, there are lots of things to inspire young writers. So how did writers like Dahl turn their ideas into a story?
Roald Dahl always wrote his ideas down in his ideas books that he kept with him at all times. And he actually had some ideas in his notebook for 20 years before he used them.
And Dahl always wrote in the same way.
He always wrote in his writing hut, and I'm sitting in his replica chair right now, and we're surrounded by lots of really interesting things that he kept in his writing hut.
Dahl always wrote with a pencil.
So he would sharpen 6 of them, and then he would sit down to write on his special yellow paper. Everything he did, he wrote by hand. He would write for 2 hours every morning, and then he would stop for lunch, and then he would write for 2 hours every afternoon as well.
Roald Dahl died in 1990 at the age of 74. One of the last lines he wrote was, "Those who don't believe in magic will never find it."
I think that's a lovely way to finish off his last book, basically saying that if you believe in magic, you will find it. And I think storytelling definitely helps us to keep that magic alive.
Football, or soccer, is one of the most popular sports in the world. It's played by millions of young people around the world every day. At the professional level, it's an international game. Talented young players often leave their home countries to train at the youth academies of famous football clubs around the world. Neymar is one of the world's best footballers. He's Brazilian, but he left his country in 2013 to play at FC Barcelona in Spain. A few years later, he moved to the French club Paris Saint-Germain. His new football club paid a transfer fee of €222 million. For a few lucky players like Neymar, playing football has not only been a lifelong passion, but it has also made them rich and famous. But even if it doesn't make you a star, football can make a dramatic difference to people's lives. Once a year, over 70 teams from around the world meet to play in a very unusual football tournament, the Homeless World Cup.
and there's going to be a sensational climax. The referee today is Hw5e-Preintermediate-U03
Teams of homeless people are brought together to play football for their country. Mel Young is the co-founder and president of the Homeless World Cup. Mel started his career in journalism. He became involved in projects helping the homeless in 1993. Today, he works at the global organisation's offices at a football stadium in Scotland. He explains why the tournament was started.
The idea of the Homeless World Cup came in a conference that we were having in 2001 in Cape Town. I was talking with a colleague of mine, Harold Schmidt from Austria, about how we could include more homeless people.
Mel and Harold thought of things that brought people together across the world.
We use football because it's very, very simple. Everybody understands it. It's an international language, first of all, so you can involve anybody. Male, female, big, small, really good player, really useless player, doesn't matter. It's a great way of including people.
At the Homeless World Cup, matches aren't played in a stadium. The teams play a kind of football called street soccer.
Street soccer is just a simple form of football, which is usually played in the street. I mean, football is just this wonderful game you can play anywhere. You can play it on an 11-a-side standard football pitch, but you can also play 2-a-side or 20-a-side, or you can play it indoors or outdoors, and you can mix teams of really good people and not very good people. So street soccer is like that. It's just a space in the street.
A long ball forward into the corner, picked up again by Mexico.
Matches are played on a small court. There are 8 players in each team, but only 4 play at the same time. The games only last for 14 minutes. In the World Cup tournament, the teams play about 3 games a day. Organising an international football tournament with teams of homeless people isn't simple. There's a lot of work to be done. Money needs to be raised. Passports and tickets need to be provided for all the players. It's a challenge for Mel's team in Scotland and their partners working around the world. But the hard work is worth it. The tournament has grown every year, and now there are around 50,000 homeless people training for a place in their national team. The organisation has many famous supporters, and the matches are sometimes shown on TV. For Mel and his team, the most important thing about the Homeless World Cup is that over 70% of the homeless players change their lives for the better because of the tournament. Mel believes that the project is so successful because it helps the homeless become part of a team. They are supported and encouraged by the project, and this helps them to improve their own lives.
I mean, I think my view is that homelessness is you're on your own. And football is this great way in which you can be included. So we get people from that position to say, do you want to play football? And then the training sessions build, so you create a kind of, if you like, a family, which is the team.
Number 7.
And the results for people like David Duke can be amazing.
I took part in the Homeless World Cup, which was held in Gothenburg in 2004.
David became homeless as a teenager in Glasgow in Scotland. But the Homeless World Cup helped him change his life.
I went back into further education once I came back from the Homeless World Cup.
David completed his college course and got a full-time job. And he continued to work with the Homeless World Cup.
My participation in the Homeless World Cup has led to me being a player, an assistant coach, a coach, manager, project manager, and I'm now a global ambassador for Homeless World Cup.
Today, David runs Street Soccer, an organisation helping other homeless people in Scotland get involved with football. David is a wonderful example of the success of a project that believes a ball can change the world. What were you doing at 9 a.m. last Saturday? Can you remember? Well, if you are one of the thousands of passionate fans of Parkrun, then you know exactly where you were. You were in a park with hundreds of other runners, walkers and volunteers, starting a 5-kilometre course. This is the world of Parkrun, a weekly open-air timed event held in parks around the globe every Saturday morning. Some people have been doing Parkrun for a long time, and they are passionate about it.
I've just finished my 100th Parkrun.
Today was my 132nd Parkrun.
I've done 151.
I'm not actually sure of the exact number, 320 or something like that. I'm on 96. In 4 weeks' time, I get my 100th.
Parkrun is a community event. It is free and everyone is welcome. You can bring your baby or your dog, or you can come in a costume for a special occasion. You can run fast, or you can walk slowly. It's your choice.
We've been friends for many years, Janice and I, and we run together in parkruns at least once a month. We run on a short tether. We wear bright clothing, so people can tell that we're, a guide and a visually impaired runner.
So how did Parkrun start?
Parkrun started in 2004 in Bushy Park, which is not very far from here, when some friends, I think 17 friends, decided that they would like to run 5K in the park. And they enjoyed it so much that they decided they would do it every Saturday. And then some more people came, and it became an event. And then another one started, and that's how it grew. The Parkrun is all over the world. There are parkruns in 19 different countries now. And I've been lucky enough to parkrun in lots of different countries, in Australia, in Ireland, in France, and in Germany, and of course here.
This is North Aller Fields in North London. The park opened in 2008 and since 2014, it's been the home to a fun, friendly and very busy parkrun. Like every parkrun, the North Alla Fields event is organised by a group of dedicated and enthusiastic volunteers. For many parkrun fans, or parkrunners as they are known, volunteering is just as important as running.
I enjoy running it, but actually I'd probably enjoy volunteering more because I get the satisfaction of seeing everyone enjoying it.
By the time the parkrunners start to arrive at 8:45 a.m, the volunteers have already been working for about half an hour, setting up the course and getting ready. For some people, today is their first run. They are first-timers. A volunteer talks to all the first-timers. Before coming to the park, they had all registered online and printed a copy of their own unique barcode. At 8:55, Louise, the run director, gives a short talk. Runners and volunteers who have reached parkrun milestones, they've volunteered or run a certain number of times, are congratulated by the crowd. And runners who've come from other places, known as parkrun tourists, are welcomed. At 9 o'clock, it's time to go. As every person crosses the finish line, a volunteer records their time on a stopwatch, and they are given a finishing token. Then, another volunteer scans this token and the runner's own barcode. And that's it. It's time for the runners and walkers to relax. However, the volunteers have more work to do. They upload all the barcode and stopwatch information to Parkrun's computer system and sort the finishing tokens ready for next week. In a couple of hours, all the parkrunners will get an email or text with their time for today's run and a link to lots of other information about the event. Today, 384 people finished the parkrun at North Alla Fields, and nearly 150,000 completed a parkrun across the UK. Doing exercise in a park at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning is a surprising thing to get passionate about. So what's the attraction? What does Parkrun mean to its fans?
Parkrun is an essential part of my Saturday morning. It's not a proper weekend if it doesn't start with Parkrun.
Parkrun for me means friendship, enthusiasm and enjoyment.
It's meeting all the people, it's a great atmosphere.
It's hard to describe really, and I think until you've been there, it's hard to understand just how friendly and supportive and how much fun it is.
Parkrun means keeping nice and healthy and meeting new friends.
have come a long way since their first time.
And I started off walking at the back and getting slowly faster and faster. So it's been my road to fitness. It's also made me an amazing amount of friends, really, really good friends.
So after having completed over 300 runs, what advice does Lindsay have for someone thinking about trying Parkrun?
Do it. It's very scary to start with, but there will always be someone at your pace. It doesn't matter what your pace is, there will always be someone at your pace. Do it, get out there, take the big step, go for it. You won't look back.
Most people today live very busy lives. In between studying, working, looking after a family, and trying to exercise occasionally, there's not much time left for hobbies or relaxing. Do you have any free time? How do you spend it? Do you go out with friends? Do you do sports? Or do you recharge your batteries at home? But imagine, what if you had a bit more free time? How would you spend it? Would you try new activities like mountain biking or wall climbing? Or maybe you would prefer to improve your mental fitness and memory. How about learning how to paint? Or learning another language? If you had more free time, what would you do?
Well, if I had more free time, I think I would travel more, discover different countries, more different places, and get to know people from different cultures.
I think I would relax a little bit more, stay at home, just sit on the couch, watch a little bit TV.
If I had more free time, I would like to draw a lot more and paint a lot more.
I'd probably spend more time with my friends, or I'd go to the cinema, or I don't know, just hang out more.
If I had no responsibilities or money worries, I would go to the beach and not think about anything.
I'd just spend more time doing what I enjoy, so I'd probably play a lot more football.
Well, if I had more free time, I would definitely travel much more around the world and just explore more places because there's so much to see around the world. So that's how I would make use of my free time.
Do you like your job? Is there any other job that you would prefer to do? Danielle is a wedding planner. She helps people plan the best day of their lives, making sure they've picked the perfect location, music, food, and beautiful decorations for their big event. Would you like to be a wedding planner? You'd need to be good with people and be very patient. You'd have to have good problem solving and negotiation skills to create the perfect wedding day for someone. Does this sound like you? If being a wedding planner isn't to your liking and you enjoy working outside, you might enjoy being a farmer or an outdoor activity instructor.
Press the back, squeeze the front.
Working outdoors can reduce your stress, so you will feel more relaxed and happy. Just think about all that fresh air, sunshine, and a light breeze. It would be great to work outside in the summer, but would you enjoy it in the snow and rain too? Have you ever dreamed about being able to save lives? It takes a very long time to become a doctor, but it's a very rewarding career. You'd have to work long hours, but you'd get to work with amazing people, and the pay's quite good too. If you could do any job, what would you do?
If I could do any job, I would be a dog walker.
I'd be a writer.
I probably would want a job within hotel management.
If I could do any job in the world, I would be a paleontologist.
To be honest, I keep doing what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing.
If I could do any job, I would be a family lawyer.
Probably the one that I currently do. I'm a very lucky man. I'm a professor and I love doing that.
If I could do any job, I'd be a teacher, because it's the best job in the world.
It's nice to think that all your problems would be solved if you just had a little bit more money. Money probably wouldn't make you happy, but it would make your life just a bit easier. You wouldn't have to worry about paying your rent or your bills. And you could go on holiday wherever you wanted to. A beach in Brazil, a ski resort in Chile, or a spa in Iceland. You could also choose to make other people's lives easier by donating some money to charity or research or doing some volunteering. If you had more money, would you use it to buy things? The latest gadgets, a fast car, or maybe a new apartment or a bigger house? Or would you prefer to travel more? What would you do if you had more money?
I think I would go back home to visit my family because unfortunately since I came here to university I've only had the chance to see them twice a year. So I think I would like to go home and spend more quality time with my family, definitely.
If I had more money, I would travel the world.
I would buy a house, yeah. If I had more money, I would travel more. I think that's my passion in life.
I think I would try to enjoy life a little bit more leisure time, more traveling, seeing the world.
I would quit my job.
If I had more money, I would buy more clothes.
Probably the same things I do anyway. Spend time with friends, go running, read, enjoy life.
If I had more money, I would not worry and I would just spend what I wanted when I wanted, and I'd go traveling all the time.
Buy a house, buy a car, and yeah, maybe give more to charity, yeah.
If I had more money, I would like to travel as much as possible to as many places as possible.